we're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Wednesday, July 9th here in Seoul. I'm Lee Soo-jin, and this is News Generation. Joining us today is Julian Kim.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, and Grace Park's also with us.
Great to be here.
And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So it's Wednesday, which means we're going to begin with our keyword news, where we look at a story that has been gaining traction over the past 24 hours. Today's keyword is traditional markets. So this year's most popular travel attraction in Korea wasn't the mountains or the sea, it was traditional markets. According to a survey by Consumer Insight, traditional markets topped the list among 58 regional travel destinations, receiving around 39% of the votes. After placing second in 2019, they have now climbed to the #1 spot. This signals a shift in domestic travel trends as people embrace immersive experiences in urban settings. So Grace, why do you think traditional markets ranked higher than natural attractions like mountains or the sea?
Yeah, well, traditional Korean markets are packed with region-specific foods, goods, and people, which together offer a very immersive experience that lets visitors feel the flavors and culture of that town. I think this is attractive to millennials and Gen Z who value sharing their experiences with peers on social media or through vlogs. And food in particular is a huge part of traditional markets, and there's just so much variety to explore, both within a single traditional market as well as by region, which all have their own charm. And I think the younger generation has more fun visiting these traditional markets over natural attractions because of the unique experience that they offer.
So I actually have a favorite traditional market.
You do? What is it?
It's Gwangjang-시장. It's here in Seoul.
I love that one too.
And the reason why, I don't know if you've ever had this before, but they have the best spicy rice cakes or tteokbokki.
Tteokbokki.
Because it has shredded radishes in it. So it's a bit different from what you normally get. So I highly recommend that. But not just me, but I feel like a lot of friends, people around me really enjoy going into traditional markets because not just for the food, but also because of the vibrant atmosphere as well. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I think it's really interesting that traditional markets are ranked higher than natural attractions, but people really do enjoy good food, shopping, as well as an easy place to congregate. So it does really make a lot of sense to me. I personally really do enjoy going to the beach or hiking on mountain trails, but when it comes to enjoying the local culture, traditional markets are the best place to do that. There's a whole plethora of options at traditional markets, and there's always something that people enjoy, so yeah, I can really see.
Right, so in a fast-changing world, it seems many are finding comfort and excitement in their timeless charm. So if you're traveling to Korea this summer or you're local looking for somewhere new to explore, a visit to one of the country's traditional markets might just be the perfect choice. And that concludes our keyword news for this Wednesday. So as we make our way into the middle of the work week, we're taking a look at a topic that's especially relevant to Gen Zs this summer. So let's take a look at the screen to learn more. With this summer expected to be one of the hottest on record, the debate over what's considered appropriate office attire is heating up once again. As temperatures rise, so does the question, how can you stay cool without crossing the line of professionalism? It seems like the standard for office fashion has shifted in recent years, especially with the rise of remote work, hybrid setups, and more relaxed workplace cultures, but many offices still hold on to unspoken rules about what's acceptable and what's not. On today's episode of News Generation, we're diving into the evolving conversation around office dress codes. So as we just saw in the video, with temperatures rising, this summer expected to be one of the hottest on record, many people are rethinking what they wear, not just in their free time, but also at work. So staying cool while still looking professional can be a real challenge, and that's what we're diving into today. But before we start, I just want to say that it's also important to remember that dress codes can definitely vary widely depending on the country and, of course, the culture. So Grace, let's start with something simple. So as the weather heats up, what types of clothing do you personally gravitate towards, and what do you think is appropriate for the office setting?
You know, with the scorching heat that we've had in Korea this summer, I just naturally gravitate towards sleeveless tank tops and shorts because that's just what keeps me cool. And although my company follows a relatively casual work attire policy, it is still a professional setting. So my colleagues and I tend to stick to lightweight shirts with preferably longer shorts or a sheer but not see-through dress. And in terms of work shoes in the summer, it is okay for us to wear sandals as long as they're not like flip-flops. And I think that there's this unspoken expectation not to go too casual at work, like wearing yoga pants or sportswear. And I have noticed that superiors and executive level officers dress more conservatively in general because they attend more high-level meetings.
So I feel like it's always it's a really fine line between what's acceptable and what's not, especially in workplaces that actually have more of a casual work dress code like the one that you mentioned. But I think the tricky part also about, you mentioned unspoken expectations, is that everyone's expectations tend to differ a bit. Like I admit, I'm a bit on the conservative side, so I think I mentioned before, like I don't know how I feel about having Crocs. We talked about shoes earlier, so I'm not really sure about that. So I guess that, like I said, like expectations do tend to differ. So also, especially in a traditionally conservative country like Korea, it seems like flexible dress codes and cool business casual attire are becoming more common. So can you tell us what this looks like, Julian?
Yeah, definitely. So most Korean companies are implementing a more casual dress code. For example, SK has relaxed their dress code since 2000, and companies such as Samsung Electronics and LG Electronics have also relaxed their dress code too. Recently, even Hyundai Heavy Industries have allowed cool biz attire. Now, they're known for building large ships and handling heavy equipment, as well as having a more traditional and strict dress code in the office, but recently they've become more flexible, reflecting demands from millennials and Gen Z employees. However, just like Grace has mentioned, leggings, sleeveless tops, and slippers are still not allowed in the office too.
That's really interesting because the companies you mentioned are traditionally more like they're very traditionally more strict companies. So it's interesting to see how they're, kind of adapting to changing expectations as well. So how do Gen Zs view summer office fashion here in Korea? Do you think their expectations and attitudes are different across generations, Grace?
Yeah, for Gen Z, I think fashion, even within the office, is yet just another opportunity to express themselves. And I have heard that casual workwear is a quality that some young job seekers prefer when they consider jobs. Julian mentioned Cool Biz Workwear, which was first launched as a campaign to encourage office workers to wear comfortable, cool clothing like shorts and leave their ties and jackets at home during the summer to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from the constant use of air conditioning. It was actually found that Cool Biz attire can reduce the temperatures in the office by 2 degrees Celsius, and in 2023, 9 out of 10 workers were in favor of the Cool Biz policy. But of course, the standard for Cool Biz or casual business clothing varies by company and even by sector. Traditionally, client-facing industries like finance or hospitality stick to more conservative clothing, while the tech and broadcasting industries, for example, are generally more casual.
So I guess anyone who's actually pushing for this cool biz office wear has a pretty strong argument if they can also help the environment by reducing the amount of temperatures or like the AC that needs to be turned on. Do you have anything to add to this, Julian?
Yeah, so in a survey targeting Korean Gen Zers, opinions on dress codes, opinions are almost evenly split between wearing whatever you want and dressing with formality. Now, those who supported formality have said that clothing is basic etiquette and that each company should have appropriate attire. On the other hand, those who favor having more freedom with the way they dress have said that it is really just a personal choice and it doesn't really affect work performance at all. So let's take a look at the screen for more details. Now, 41% of respondents have said that the number one worst summer outfits, according to Gen Zers, were overly revealing clothing, while 14% of respondents have said that overly casual and athleisure clothing is the worst office attire.
So it's clear that people are split on this topic, so we're going to do a quick OX vote to find out where each of you personally draws a line when it comes to summer dress codes for the office. So we have our paddles ready. So the first question is, in client-facing industries like finance, law, or hospitality, do you guys think it's acceptable for men to wear shorts? So what do you guys think? Okay, so you said yes, and you said no. So Julian, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I personally think that as long as the outfit itself looks neat and put together, I don't really see an issue with shorts. Now, there's also tailored dress shorts, so I don't really think that shorts are in the office are necessarily inappropriate, especially given how hot it has been recently in Seoul. Yesterday's high, for example, was 37 degrees Celsius. Men tend to also have limited summer options when it comes to clothing in the office, so I don't really see what is particularly wrong with shorts too.
Yeah, I say X just because, I don't think there's any issue with men wearing shorts in general, but I'm talking about like the employees in these particular fields. I would have to say that shorts might bring down the professionalism factor just a little bit. In a position where you have to build trust with clients, I think that more formal and conservative attire might be a better option, personally.
The second one might be a bit harder to answer for you guys, but especially Julian. But the second question is it okay to wear loose summer clothing without a bra?
Okay.
So what do you guys think about this?
I am going with X because I think there is a fine line. As long as the outfit itself isn't really like overly revealing, I believe that it's a personal choice. But if it's more on the revealing side, I do think that wearing a bra would be a good thing to do. I'm not really sure if I could necessarily comment on this, but I think the general rule of thumb would be to see if it's too revealing with that one, then I would say it's probably for the best.
Right, what do you think about this, Grace?
I say O because as someone with experience with bras, I think that they're kind of inhibiting and they generate a lot of heat, especially in the summer. So honestly, I think it's okay to go without them as long as you're not wearing like a really tight fitting shirt or being overly provocative or making others feel uncomfortable. I think it's okay.
So that question is more geared towards women, but in workplaces with a more casual atmosphere and a younger workforce, is it acceptable for men to wear sleeveless tops? So what do you guys think about this? Oh, so you guys are split on all of the questions.
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I guess I'm pretty aligned with Gen Zers in the survey we previously discussed, but I do think that sleeveless tops, although perfectly fine when going out, I think it could be personally too revealing and may look a little unprofessional in an office setting.
You did say you actually looked up some pictures of sleeveless tops. So was there a difference between women's clothing and men's
Yes,
clothing?
so I guess there's a double standard because sleeveless tops in women tend to look more professional than for men. So I don't know if it's necessary because of clothing design or just society's expectations, but I just think, yeah, that's how
A bit
I
different.
think.
What about you?
I say O because I don't see why not. Lots of women already wear sleeveless tops at work because frankly, it is one of the coolest pieces of clothing that you can wear in the summer without like indecent exposure. I think that as long as it's simple, classic, sleeveless tops for men are totally appropriate.
So it's clear just even among us that opinions vary quite a bit and highlighting just how subjective and nuanced summer office dress codes can be. So this diversity of views really underscores why the topic is sparking plenty of debate. Balancing comfort, professionalism, and personal expression really is no easy task, especially as workplace cultures evolve. And so to get a broader perspective on this, we turn to our viewers on the Arirang News YouTube channel and ask for their thoughts on what's considered inappropriate office attire during the summer. And here are the answers we got. So the majority of respondents, 64%, said that going without underwear in the summer is acceptable. Meanwhile, 18% felt that anything is fine when it comes to summer office attire. A smaller portion, 10%, said shorts above the knees are acceptable and just 8% were okay with sleeveless tops in the workplace. So to hear more about what summer office dress codes looks like in other countries, we'll be speaking with someone from Canada who will share what's generally considered acceptable in her country. And that's coming up right after the break, so stay tuned.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us today is Lorianne, who's from Canada, where office attire tends to be more relaxed in Korea, especially during the summer months. Hi, Lorianne. Thanks so much for connecting with us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So what did typical summer office dress codes look like at companies in your country?
I hate to give a vague answer, but I will have to say that it very much depends on the industry. If we're referencing the corporate world, so law, finance, and all that, people typically try to follow a business dress code year long, but in the summer they will tend to go more business casual. And I think that looks more, again, like you guys brought up as well in Korea, more so maybe in the types of fabrics that are being worn more than different types of clothing, technically. So this can look like dress pants, chinos, blouses, short sleeve shirts, dresses, smart dresses. And I think sandals, again, as you guys have mentioned, are starting to be more and more acceptable in those workplaces. In slightly more relaxed environments, you will see polo shirts, even clean sneakers, and tailored shorts, very much. And I just believe that the main difference you will see in Canada is more in the cultural, entertainment, community-based workplaces, so less in the corporate world.
Great. So in traditionally conservative sectors, such as public institutions or client-facing positions, to what extent do you think is casual summer attire considered acceptable?
Again, it depends. I would say Canada is not so different than Korea. Listening to the segment prior, I was agreeing with most of what you guys were saying. I would still say that having a polished and professional look is still expected, but you're going to see more resurgence of showing more personality in these days. So again, if we go back to sectors like banking, government institutions, it's still very much formal, but you will see sectors like education, retail, fashion, obviously, ease off a little or completely on the formal attire. Teachers, for example, I think can adopt a very laid-back, comfortable look, being able to wear jeans, sneakers, t-shirts. I think for them, it's more about showing up to work in a natural, clean way, more than a formal way in that sense. But I think the main way Canada would set itself apart from countries that are still very much prioritizing very conservative attire in public sectors is when it comes to workers being able to show their personality. So I think that is more through jewelry, hairstyles, tattoos. So tattoos showing in Canada, I don't think is a big deal anymore. It's very common, it's very widely accepted. For example, I have some friends who work in the luxury car retail department. In the summer, their attire can look like chinos, a nice dress shoe, and a polo t-shirt, which would let their arms show. And some of my friends do have a lot of tattoos, and that's completely fine on a daily basis. They can still interact with the clients and the employer. They do not mind it. So I think it's more so in that sense on the accessories more than going too far off with the clothing, I believe.
Thanks, Lorianne. Have you noticed any changes compared to the past? And are there noticeable differences between Gen Z and older generations when it comes to office fashion?
Definitely. On that one, absolutely. I think younger professionals, Gen Z, as we've been mentioning, a lot of them having had remote working experiences are totally more laid back. They will tend to prioritize comfort and individuality in their work attire. So regardless of the sector that they're in, I believe. So the generation will often try to blend in, I think, formal and casual elements and still make it in a way that feels presentable, polished, and like modern without it being a concern. Overall, I just think there's a growing emphasis for self-expression and authenticity. And I very much love that. The overall workplace culture is just evolving to be more flexible, inclusive. When it comes to fashion, that's for sure, for sure. And I'm happy about that. People should be able to go to work in a comfortable way and be able to showcase a little bit more of themselves with still respecting some of what's been socially implemented, I guess. So I think there's a just middle that we can find. So totally, yeah.
Right, I think it's really important for people to go to work and be able to feel like they can still express themselves while, of course, also staying professional. So we're going to let you go now, but thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day.
So we just heard from an office worker, from someone from Canada who gave us some insight into balancing professionalism and comfort with summer dress codes. So it's clear that while the specifics may vary by country, the challenge of staying cool without compromising workplace standards is universal. So to wrap up our discussion for today, here's a final question for you, Grace. So when it comes to summer workwear, what's one key principle or piece of advice you think people should always keep in mind?
Yeah, I've noticed that millennials and Gen Z are definitely putting our own twist to traditional office fashion through the use of color, more variety, as well as accessories like our guest mentioned. And while I respect any kind of fashion that one chooses to wear, I also do think that TPO, or time, place, and occasion, is the sensible way to go about workwear. And in the summer months, I want to say that fabric is key. You can find simple, classic styles of clothing and breathable fabrics like linen, rayon, or lightweight cotton, which is great. So I'm sure you'll have no problem staying cool while looking professional at the workplace.
So I think it's really hard to come up with a rule of thumb that's both easy to understand and carry out. So I think what you said about fabric is really helpful for people. And again, I'm a bit on the conservative side, but I don't think you need to shorten your clothes too much. You can just maybe pick fabric, like you said, that is more lightweight and cool. So what about you, Julian?
Yeah, I have to agree with what we were just talking about. Fabric should be the first thing to consider when looking for workplace attire. Now, you have to wear these clothes during the entire workday, and when you take into account commuting, you want to wear breathable clothing that doesn't overheat you. And I can personally really see how it can be challenging to wear the clothing that both fit your style and personality more, but I do believe that because it's a professional setting, it's important to find that balance. And I think it's really exciting because our generation is working to build up a new type of culture, and it's really exciting to see how workplace attire will develop in the future.
So like you said, as workplace culture continues to evolve, it looks like our approach to summer workwear will as well. But the goal remains the same: dress smart, stay comfortable, and keep it professional. So this brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation. But News Gen will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. Big thanks to Julian.
Thank you for having me today.
And also Grace.
Thank you.
And to all our viewers, thanks so much for watching, and we hope you have the best day. We are News Generation.